All right. Imagine being told to build something so massive that it stretches farther than you could ever walk in your lifetime. Something so ambitious that entire mountains had to be reshaped just to make it. Possible. Now imagine being forced to build it. No choice, no escape. That is the real story of the Great Wall of China. First, let's clear up one of the biggest myths you've probably heard. No, you cannot actually see the Great Wall from space with the naked eye. But honestly, the truth is way more impressive than the myth. Because this isn't just a wall. It's a massive, evolving system built over more than 2,000 years by multiple dynasties across some of the harshest terrain on Earth. To understand how it started, we need to go way back before China was even China. Around the 7th century BCE, the land was divided into rival states. Constant war, constant fear, and each kingdom had the same thought. If we can't defeat our enemies, we'll keep them out. So they started building walls. Not the towering stone structures you see today, but long barriers made from rammed earth. Workers would pack layers of dirt, sand, and gravel together, compressing it until it became rock solid. It sounds simple, but it was exhausting. Imagine doing manual labor all day, just stomping and compacting dirt over and over again, under the sun for months or years. Then everything changed in 221 BCE. A single ruler rises to power, Qin Shi Huang. He becomes the first emperor to unify China. And instead of tearing down the separate walls built by rival states, he decides to connect them. This wasn't just construction. This was transformation. On a massive scale, thousands of miles of walls, linked together, extended, reinforced. All without modern technology, no engines, no machinery, just human labor. And where did that labor come from? Not volunteers, not paid workers, mostly peasants, soldiers, and prisoners. People who had no choice. Hundreds of thousands were sent to work on the wall. Some estimates say even more. Families were torn apart. Villages lost their strongest workers. And once you were sent, there was a good chance you weren't coming back. The conditions were brutal. In the north, winters were freezing. In the deserts, heat was unbearable. Food was limited. Water wasn't always clean. And injuries? Almost guaranteed. People collapsed from exhaustion. Others got sick. Many died. And when they did, they often weren't taken home. They were buried right there, near or even within the wall itself. That's why the Great Wall is sometimes called the longest cemetery on Earth. Not because it's symbolic, but because it might literally be true. Now here's something most people don't realize. The Great Wall isn't just one continuous structure. It's a network. Walls, trenches, watchtowers, fortresses, all working together as a defensive system. Watchtowers were especially important. They allowed soldiers to see approaching threats from miles away. And they had a surprisingly advanced communication system. Smoke signals during the day, fire signals at night. One tower lights a signal, the next sees it and responds. And within minutes, a warning could travel across huge distances. That's ancient rapid communication. No phones, no internet, just fire and timing. But even with all this effort, the wall wasn't perfect. Invaders still found ways through. Sometimes they climbed over weaker sections, Sometimes they attacked, isolated points, and sometimes corruption or human error opened the gates. So why keep building it? Why pour centuries of effort into something that wasn't flawless? Because the wall wasn't just about defense, it was about control. It helped regulate trade. It protected important routes like the Silk Road. It allowed the empire to monitor who came in and who left. And, maybe most importantly, it was psychological. A massive, visible statement of power. A message to enemies and to the people inside. This empire is strong. This land is protected. Now fast forward again, this time to the Ming Dynasty. Over 1,000 years later, this is where the Great Wall becomes what we recognize today. The Ming faced constant threats from northern forces, and they knew the older walls weren't enough. So, they rebuilt large. Sections using brick and stone. Stronger, taller, more permanent. But that made construction even harder. Now workers had to quarry stone, transport heavy materials across mountains, and assemble massive structures by hand. Some stones weighed hundreds of towns. Think about that. Now imagine carrying that weight up steep, uneven mountain paths, again and again and again, and still, no machines, just people, despite everything. The Ming version of the wall became incredibly advanced. It had drainage systems to prevent water damage, guard towers spaced strategically for visibility, fortresses that could house troops and store supplies. This wasn't just a barrier anymore. It was a fully integrated military defense system. And yet, even this version wasn't invincible. In the 1600s, invaders still managed to breach the wall, not by destroying it, but by going through it. A gate was opened, and just like that, one of the most powerful dynasties in China fell. So after all that effort, all those lives, all those years of construction, the wall still couldn't guarantee safety. But here's the thing, that doesn't make it a failure, because its impact goes far beyond warfare. Today, the Great Wall stretches over 13,000 miles. It crosses mountains, deserts, and plains. It's one of the most recognizable structures on Earth, and it stands as a symbol of human determination and human cost. Because behind every brick, every stone, every mile, there were one slain and plains, people, real people, who worked, suffered, and in many cases, never made it home. So the next time you see the Great Wall in a photo or on your screen, don't just see a tourist attraction. See the story behind it, the ambition, the sacrifice, the reality. And ask yourself this: if you were alive back then, forced into that kind of labor, with no guarantee of survival, would you have made it? If you made it this far, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. What historical story should we dive into next? Because history isn't just facts, it's survival stories on a scale we can barely imagine.